welcome to this episode of Daily Dose of Dan, episode 26. Today we're going to do a review on the 4K version of Hunt for Red October. My wife and I watched it last night. It's one of my wife's favorite movies. We never saw it in the theater together. It came out in 1990. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. It's probably one of Sean Connery's better performances. I would highly recommend that you watch this movie either in an extremely dark room or at night. It's a very, very dark movie with it being underwater, and it's shot kind of like in a very dark tone. So I'd highly recommend watching it in a dark room to get the best effect. And obviously also surround sound is a must, because being underwater, it really captures like you being in a sub. I remember seeing U-571 at the theater, and it just the being in surround sound in the theater, and that just completely took you to being in a sub. And I always remember that being awesome. I wish I could have seen Hunt for Red October in the theaters. Unfortunately, this movie was not done with a Dolby Atmos. They stayed with the Dolby Surround, which isn't bad. It's still pretty awesome. IMDb rates this movie a 7.5 out of 10, and Rotten Tomato, which is funny, the audience score and the critic score is exactly the same at 88%. One of the cool trivia facts about this movie was, I guess Sean Connery came on set on first day of shoot with a ponytail, and because of him being the star of the movie, he refused to cut it off. And I guess the director and everybody were pissed off, and they kept on saying that it went around with the cast. Basically, they kept on saying that it looked like a limp penis. Well, if you've never seen this movie, he's playing the commander of a sub, and there's no way in hell that, whether it be Russian military or U.S. military, you'd be allowed to have a ponytail. So because everyone was basically saying that all the shots that he had that ponytail, it looked like a limp penis on his shoulder, it really bothered Sean Connery, so he eventually decided to get rid of the ponytail, and they ended up having to reshoot like some major scenes, and ended up costing the production company an extra $20,000. This movie had a $30 million budget, ended up grossing worldwide 200 million, so that's a pretty good return on their money. Both Sean Connery and the other captain of the Dallas sub were actually able to go on subs and become, like, basically mimic the captains of the ship to the point where they were giving orders and everything to get into the character. And I always thought that was really kind of cool. One of the crazy credit things is there's a bear called Stanley, and it's one of the other main characters, played by Alec Baldwin's name is Jack Ryan from the Jack Ryan series. And anyway, he said he'd bring his daughter home a bear, so he brings her home a bear. Spoiler alerts, admittedly, this is an old ass movie. Anyway, in the credits, the bear is actually credited as himself, which is pretty funny. It has the anthem to the Soviet Union. I made a joke to my wife talking about how there's a scene in the movie where all the men on the sub are actually singing the national anthem. And it made me wonder whether or not how many of the American branch military could actually sing the national and know all the words. And that would be kind of interesting to know. Anyway, this is going to be a short review of the movie. I'm going to take a look at it. Can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but it has a runtime of 2 hours and 15 minutes. Definitely worth watching. Definitely worth getting in 4K. It's a classic. This is what the back looks like. I don't know if you guys get to see what the back looks like here. The front again. So anyway, Last weekend was a real hard weekend for us. We spent like 3 or 4 days without power. Um, it was rough. It was cold out, and then my wife got food poisoning, which was horrible to be sick and not have power. So anyway, I think the positive message of the day is going to be when life sucker punches you, not once but twice. You just grin and bear it and keep on going. And we had a friend that reached out to us with a generator that really helped out. And it's nice to know when you have people that are there when you need help. And that's what my wife and I always try to do. Is we always try to make sure that we're there for people that need help when they need it. You shouldn't bankrupt yourself helping people, but if you can help people, you totally should. So that's probably the message of this episode is it's nice to have friends that can help you out and understand that life's not always easy. But you know what? When that power came back on, we were so happy. We forget how nice it is to have power. So there again, another thing about like not taking things for granted, I guess, is the point. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow with another episode of Daily Dose of Dan, and I'll end it with